Today, we're diving into a really common problem. You've set up Google Analytics 4. You can see the data coming in, but something just feels a little off. You know, like you're looking at the numbers and they just don't quite add up, and you've got this nagging feeling you're not seeing the whole story.
You know, the experts at Measure School have the perfect analogy for this. They say to think of your GA4 setup less like a boring tech chore and more like tuning a guitar. Because when it's tuned just right, the data it plays back is music to your ears. It's accurate, it's insightful, it's, well, beautiful.
So, the big question is your GA4 property actually in tune? Well, let's find out. We're going to go through all the essential settings to make sure your setup is configured for success, so you can finally trust the data you're seeing.
Okay, first things first. Let's get the basic layout down. It's super simple, but it's the foundation for everything else, so you gotta know it. Think of it like this. You have an account, which is the big umbrella for your whole company. And under that umbrella, you can have a ton of properties, up to 2,000 actually. Each property is just a specific website or an app that you want to track. That's it. Simple, right? Okay, so we've got the structure. Now let's talk about actually creating your first property. And hey, even if you've done this before, stick with me because there are a few little details in here that are super easy to gloss over. So when you go to set one up, the wizard walks you through these 4 main steps. And each one is important because it's basically you telling Google how to customize your reports and your whole interface. So yeah, it really pays to get the details right. Now, this screen might look like boring admin stuff, but do not sleep on this. Getting your reporting time zone and your currency right, that is absolutely non-negotiable. I mean, every single report you look at is going to be affected by this. If you get it wrong, you're making decisions on data that's just plain wrong. And here's a fantastic pro tip. When you get to the business objectives part and you're kind of scratching your head, not sure what to pick, just choose Get Baseline Reports. Seriously, this just tells Google to give you all the standard reports without trying to be helpful and hiding some of them based on what you picked.
All right, property created. Awesome. Now comes the really important part, the actual tuning. Let's run through the essential checklist of settings you need to look at, like right now. First stop, data retention. This one is a biggie. Basically, this setting decides how long you can dig into the nitty-gritty details of what a single user did on your site. We're not talking about your big, top-level reports. We're talking about that granular, user-level stuff that is absolute gold for deep analysis. And here's the thing that trips everybody up. The default is just 2 months. That's it. So what does that mean? It means after 60 days, poof, that detailed user data is gone. You want to see what that customer who just bought something was doing on your site 3 months ago? Too bad, you can't. And for pretty much any business, 2 months is nowhere near enough. So here's what you need to do. Pause this if you have to. Go into your settings and crank that thing up to the maximum, 14 months. It is one click, but that one click unlocks everything for long-term analysis. Without it, you can't compare seasonal trends or see year-over-year data. It's an absolute must-do.
All right, next on the list, getting rid of your own team's data. Think about it. Every time you or your colleagues or your developers are on the site, you're clicking around, testing things, and all of that activity, it's polluting your reports. It's just noise that makes it way harder to see what your actual customers are doing. So how do you fix it? It's a little 2-step dance. First, you got to tell Google, hey, these IP addresses, they're us. They're internal. You do that in your data stream settings. But, and this is the part people forget, you then have to go to a different spot, the data filters, and actually flip the switch to turn that filter on. It's just a few clicks and bam, your data quality just shot way up. This next one, oh, it is a classic e-commerce headache. So picture this. A customer clicks your Google ad, finds a product they love, and heads off to PayPal to check out. Then they come back to your Thank You page. Guess who Google Analytics gives all the credit for that sale to? Not your ad. Nope. PayPal. It's so frustrating. Luckily, the fix is super easy. You just go back to those data stream settings, find the List Unwanted Referrals section, and pop in domains like paypal.com. This basically tells Google, hey, when you see traffic coming from here, just ignore it as a source. That way your marketing channels get the credit they actually earned.
Okay, so the basic tuning is done. Now, let's level up a bit and look at a couple of settings that really unlock a deeper understanding of the full customer journey.
This really is the million-dollar question in analytics, isn't it? How do you know that the person browsing on their tablet Tuesday morning is the same person who came back on their work laptop that afternoon and then finally bought something on their phone that night? Well, the answer is all about a setting called reporting identity.
You basically get 3 flavors to choose from. Device-based is the old school way. It just looks at the device. Observed is a big step up. It tries to connect the dots using things like a user ID if someone's logged in. But really, blended is where the magic is. It takes all that observed data and then uses machine learning to intelligently fill in the blanks for all the users you can't track. This gives you the most complete picture possible.
And last, but definitely not least, let's talk about attribution. Let's be real, a customer journey is messy. They might see a Facebook ad, then click a Google ad a week later, then open an email from you before finally buying. The question is, who gets the credit for that sale? That's what attribution is all about. For years, the standard was last click. It was simple. Whatever the last thing they clicked was, it got 100% of the credit. But GA4 now defaults to data-driven, and it's so much smarter. It looks at all the different paths people take and uses AI to figure out which touchpoints were actually the most influential. For pretty much everyone, this is the one you want to stick with.
And one last little tweak here is your look-back windows. The standard recommendation is this. For that very first time someone visits, give it a 30-day window. But for all other conversions after that, stretch it out to 90 days. Why? Because big purchases can take time. This just makes sure your early marketing efforts get the credit they deserve, even if it takes a customer a couple months to finally buy.
All right, let's put it all together. Here is your GA4 tuning checklist. Go through your property and check these 5 things. Crank data retention to 14 months. Filter out your internal traffic. Get rid of those unwanted referrals. Pick the right reporting identity, probably blended, and stick with a smart attribution model. Get those 5 things right and you are on your way to clean, trustworthy, actionable data.
Look, when you get these settings right from the jump, you can stop second-guessing your data. You can finally start listening to it. You can trust the story it's trying to tell you about your users. And that's when the real fun begins. That's when you start uncovering those game-changing insights. So the only question left is, what will you find?